Everyone knows that Facebook is one of the most successful companies in the world, generating hundreds of billions of dollars in value for their shareholders. But in recent years, the company has been involved in controversies regarding the users' privacy as they share their data to advertisers. What's good, you guys? This is Market Thrive, and today we're going to talk about how Facebook's business is declining as a result of these problems and what the company's future might hold. Before we start the video, I would just like you to do me a favor by just hitting that subscribe button and the bell notification down below to keep you updated on this channel. So without further ado, let's hop into it. We must first comprehend Facebook's economic model in order to understand what is happening. Free to download and use are all of Facebook's applications, including Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and WhatsApp. Yet the business continues to be able to bring in more than $100 billion in annual revenue. Selling digital adverts accounts for the great majority of their income and more than a quarter of their profit. Facebook costs the brand somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 cents for each click on an advertisement or sponsored post. While this may not seem like much, with 2 billion users every day reading through Facebook's apps, these 25-cent clicks quickly add up. Facebook's revenue has more than tripled during the last 10 years. While their user base has expanded throughout this time, their increasing monetization has contributed to the majority of their growth. Their average revenue per user increased dramatically from $5 to over $40 between 2011 and 2021. So how do they manage to expand in this way? Numerous thousands of engineers work at Facebook. Building a top-notch advertising platform is one of their top priorities in order to ensure that Facebook ads are as effective as possible. That describes the moment an advertisement appears as you scroll through Facebook. They want to increase the likelihood that you will click on the advertisement and purchase the item. Apple's ID for Advertisers, or IDFA, is one of the most crucial resources Facebook has utilized for success. Each iPhone is assigned a special IDFA number. It's a series of numbers that resembles a social security number in some ways. Facebook primarily employs the IDFA for purchase attribution and data collection from third-party apps. With purchase attribution, we'll get started. Imagine you're browsing Facebook when you come across an advertisement for a brand new mobile video game. If you've purchased the game after clicking on the advertisement directly in Facebook, Facebook will be able to inform the advertiser that you did so. Let's assume, nevertheless, that you saw the Facebook advertisement right before you went to bed. You want to download and start playing the game because you think it's cool, but you're short on time. You might remember the game the following morning when you wake up and head straight to the App Store to buy it. Facebook can know that you downloaded the game a day after seeing the Facebook advertisement, even though you didn't click on it directly, thanks to your specific IDFA number. They can therefore credit the Facebook ad effort for this sale. Facebook is able to tell advertisers exactly how many conversions their campaign brought about thanks to IDFA. Because they can instantly see their precise advertising ROI, advertisers adore this. But even more significant for Facebook is that IDFA enables them to gather a ton of detailed information on each user. For each user, Facebook compiles an incredibly thorough data profile that it uses to target advertisements. Therefore, we are aware that Facebook amasses a considerable amount of user data and exploits it to generate tens of billions of dollars in ad income annually. But how horrible is it really? They claim that the collecting of their data is beneficial since it prevents you from wasting time on unnecessary advertisements. People didn't particularly worry about Facebook's privacy violations for a long time. When the Cambridge Analytica scandal was made public in 2018, everything changed. A British corporation named Cambridge Analytica assisted several political campaigns with their use of digital marketing. In their run-up to the 2016 presidential election, a former employee of that company said that they improperly assessed the Facebook profiles of about 50 million American residents. They developed psychological profiles of these individuals, and the Trump team utilized these profiles to target them with advertising that stirred up intense feelings and influenced them to support Trump. In comparison to what Facebook typically does, what Cambridge Analytica did was much more extreme. Nevertheless, it raised awareness of the privacy issues around social media and data. People are now aware of the immense power that social media firms like Facebook wield because of how well-informed they are about their customers. As a result, a few famous people started to cancel their Facebook accounts, and the hashtag #DeleteFacebook briefly became popular. Despite the uproar, very few individuals truly cared enough to remove their Facebook accounts. and the number of people who use the site on a monthly basis grew. It appeared that Zuckerberg had escaped harm, allowing them to resume operations as usual. Apple, though, was closely observing the mayhem from a distance as it developed. Apple generates revenue by offering consumers tangible goods. They do not need to gather a ton of consumer data like Facebook does because they are not an advertising platform. They fixed Facebook's weakness and choose to launch an offensive in 2020. A new software upgrade that would make the IDFA tracking code opt-in was announced. They will proactively ask you if you agree to let the particular app use IDFA to track you. The vast majority of consumers will respond no, given that they do not directly benefit from the tracking. It is very clear that Facebook was the objective of this modification. Tim Cook shared a screenshot of an Apple pop-up requesting for permission to track you through Facebook. Apple launched a forceful marketing effort showing how data tracking by advertisers like Facebook can be turned off with the latest iOS releases. For Zuckerberg, things were getting desperate. User data collection was the foundation of his entire company. There was an existential threat posed by Apple's plan to restrict this capability. Facebook began funding full-page newspaper ads in a last-ditch effort to fight back, claiming that Apple's privacy restrictions would harm small businesses that depend on Facebook ads to reach customers. However, considering how the general public had come to view Facebook in a negative light, their campaign never really stood a chance of being successful. It was very obvious that Apple had prevailed. They were effective in portraying Facebook as a rapacious business that seeks to grab all of your data. Apple was defending customer privacy at the time by standing on their side. Facebook has been dealt a fatal blow by Apple's new IDFA regulation. Facebook CFO David Wenner said that because their advertising will be less targeted and they won't be able to charge advertisers as much, they will lose $10 billion in income in 2022. In order to put that into perspective, Facebook's net profit in 2021 was $40 billion. Nearly all of the $10 billion in lost revenue will go to the bottom line, which will lower profits by 25%. When they released this news, their stock price felt virtually exactly as it does now. It's certainly no coincidence that Facebook changed the name of their company to Meta and stated they will invest $10 billion to build a metaverse in 2021, following Apple's announcement of their IDFA policy. Currently, Facebook relies nearly solely on Apple and Android to connect with its consumers. They are in a very precarious situation as a result. In his future world, according to Zuckerberg, people would go about their daily lives in a metaverse of virtual reality. In the metaverse, you can go to work, meet up with pals, and play video games. Therefore, using an Apple or Android device is not necessary. Their most recent social network, Horizon Worlds, uses their Oculus virtual reality headsets. Although they haven't specified their exact business model, they might eventually start running advertisements within the metaverse. There will also be no limitations on the amount of data that Facebook may acquire because it is in complete control of the situation. By November of this year, Facebook has sold over 10 million of the Oculus Quest 2 headsets, the most recent model. However, when compared to the 3 billion monthly active users that Facebook have across all of their social media platforms, that is hardly more than a rounding error. Facebook divides its financial outcomes into two groups. Among the apps in the family are Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook, WhatsApp, and Messenger. Oculus, their portal tablet, and their investments in the metaverse are all part of Reality Labs. Less than 2% of the total revenue was made by Reality Labs in 2021, which brought in $2.3 billion. Furthermore, despite the enormous profitability of their family of apps, Reality Labs reported an operational loss of more than $10 billion. The stock has dropped 25% since they changed their name to Meta last October, wiping roughly $220 billion in shareholder value. It appears that many individuals believe the metaverse will be a huge failure and that the firm would waste tens of billions of dollars pursuing this unrealistic goal. With 3 million monthly active members, Meta is still the biggest social media firm in the world despite the challenges. Who knows, maybe you'll be seeing videos like this one from inside of Zuckerberg's metaverse in 5 years. What do you think about this? Do you agree that the metaverse would be a failure? Feel free to jot down your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like. And if you want to stay updated on our posts, hit that subscribe button as well. Once again, this is Mark Thrive signing